We'll go ahead and get started on our next presenter. Our next presenter is Stephanie Kloffke from Gilbert.
Thank you. And thank you for going first. I was excited about my spot right in the middle. Maybe a lot of you are like this. I'm used to teaching about 700 kids twice a week, but the minute I get in front of an adult group, if you see me a little bit jittery at first, I apologize for that. Does anybody need this up any longer, or you've got it where we need it? Perfect, then we will move on. When I was thinking about what to present, the format's going to be a little bit different than maybe one style or one resource. I always enjoy like what's called speed geeking, and lots of different things coming at you. There's links to click on later on. Hopefully everybody will find one or two tips or tricks, and I'm always available afterwards if the links aren't enough to come back. A little bit of background on me is, if it'll go to the next one here, like I said, we are, is it presenting with this? Okay, so this is me, this is my family, a little bit of thanks to them. Those are my three girls. My oldest is the second grader, Kendall's in kindergarten, who's in the middle, and then Scarlett is 2.5, and then my husband there. A little bit about me, this is my 11th year teaching kindergarten through 5th grade physical education at Gilbert. Underneath there, I teach 25-minute classes 2 times per week. I teach 12 classes a day, and that rotating door in and out. I see around 700 students, that's a little bit over, but twice a week, and I travel between 2 buildings. This is also my 2nd year as an elementary tech innovator, so the TLS role at your school, that's a tech person. That is what I am for our elementary staff. I also bring that presentation. In fact, I thought if I'm doing this for Heartland, I should do this for our staff. So this is my next Tech Cafe. You're my trial group on that, as well as Pear Deck. I'm learning with you there at that. Where I'm coming from is a place of, I've started to use technology to survive. I mean, I have so many kids, and I don't want it to be a revolving door. And what I found that I was losing was those conversations, and how do I document it? How do I share with parents what's going on? Because we're all doing really, really good things. But if we close the door and don't share it, then the view of PE is the stereotypical, I'm playing dodgeball in my class, or whatever parents view as PE, that is, I shouldn't toss that out there because that's one of the stereotypical things. But parents don't know. If I don't show them, and even their young kid comes home and says, we played Sharks and Killer Frogs, parents don't know what that is, right? You wouldn't know what that is if you weren't from Gilbert or if you weren't in the gym. So this is as a survival tool for me. And that's kind of where I'm coming from with these resources. I found them that they help me. Anything that doesn't help me or make something more efficient, I don't have room on my plate, all right? That's kind of where I am at and personally. I do think it's important to thank you. When I went to iTech, that's actually where I met Marissa and some of these people on here. So I went to a presentation of hers. It was about social media and mental health was the first one I went to, and then Google Slides, and that for little ones and at an elementary level, that was great. So she's a great resource. If you don't know her, she's sitting right over there. And then if you're in PE and you don't know about Phys Ed Review, that's somebody that we'll talk about later. YouTube is a great resource. Ninjafy your slides. I went to a presentation at iTech, and I'm working on my Bitmojis and how to make slides more fun for kids. I'm just trying it out. Hopefully you don't get overloaded there. And then our TLS, and then the physical educator there. So just a couple thank yous as we get started. And is that flipping over on yours when I flip? Okay, perfect. So here is our first interactive. Explain your current role position by drawing or typing anywhere. I know we did that a little bit, but if you go to your screen, hopefully it'll let you draw or type. And then up here, I can kind of show you how it pops up. This is not going to be presented to everyone. When I saw this at iTech, I thought, oh, finally. Like some kids have that anxiety of they don't want their answers projected up. This is just for me. So you can go ahead and and this is, I put up a class code. Here's where I'm going to be honest and say learning. I put up a class code, and then I opened this one up on my computer, and it must have not connected my iPad to you. Does anybody use Pear Deck and know how I can find that code? Anybody? It's up the CAV. Can I do it on my presenter? on here? Like as a presenter, can you? Or can I just have you guys enter in a new Pear Deck code? Does that answer make sense? Okay. I know. Well, I'll do show responses up here. What I really liked about it was when I did it with my tech coordinator, and here's where I'm learning with you, this learning piece, is when I put it on there, and I did this directly after I put the presentation up on it. This has, on my iPad, I did it when I first got here, and now there's 2 different class codes. This is on a different code in that, and I'm not going to take our time to try to figure that out. But just a heads up, if you use Pear Deck, do the presentation first and then join Pear Deck. So I'm going to hit show responses. I apologize. I kind of wanted this to be anonymous, but I'll show you. This is great because you can see what it looks like as well. So here is, this is another way where it just kind of gives people a chance. And on mine, what it did is I could see it, the slide, and then their name was under it, which is really cool. You're not seeing that up here, but you can kind of see just the creativity alone that just allows, and somebody wrote down there, integrationalists, K-5 strength coach, like it. Sorry, I told you we were not presenting these, but you can kind of see the differences and the personalities that if you're using a class, you can see from your kids anyway, so we've got a little bit of, we'll hide responses there. All right, so here is my use of Bitmojis. I've started using this as kids. Sometimes I feel this way at the end of the day, like that revolving door or at lunchtime. I'm like, I am empty, I am empty, I am empty. Hopefully some of these presentation things will help you feel like, yay, I'm good at something. All right, ta-da. Or when you see that from the kids, hopefully that's how you feel afterwards. Like I said, Marissa Dahl, the presentation I went to, I'm also going to be honest and preface my technology session on this, finding the balance. My passion is PE, right? Like I want kids to move, and I think they have enough screen time. But as Joanna said, they're using technology. How do we teach them to be physically active with the technology they have? How do I engage them? How do I find that balance? And I'm still working on it. Hopefully these things kind of help you to find a balance and meet them where they're at, and also share and create and not just consume. So with her permission, I will link her presentation on that. I didn't get that ahead of her, but I'll put that on there, that way you have it later. So first tech tool, Seesaw. Just by a show of hands, if you want to raise your hand, anybody in here use Seesaw or their district uses it and you've kind of fought it? Sometimes that's the case. So I actually, and in all honesty, at my school, I'm one of very few teachers at the elementary level that use Seesaw. It's kind of a flipped in my building. What I want to preface with this is with Seesaw, I show real life, not screen life. When I take videos, I don't edit them out. PE happens, kids trip. I also videotape me to parents. How do I handle that? They see the interactions with me and the kids. Building positive rapport at home is simple and effective. I post examples to each class. I've tried Twitter. I've tried Facebook groups. With 30 sections, I can't post the same activity 30 times on Facebook. It's annoying, for lack of a better word. This is a way I can show examples for each class, and I can tag a class or I can tag a student. If I just want to show Piper skipping, I videotape her skipping and I put it in her portfolio, and only her contacts would see it, or I don't even have to share with anybody. I can keep it for my records. As second graders, she's not skipping how she should be. I'm going to start documenting the progress I've made with her, even if that's something we just bring up at conferences. So that's a big one for me. See who has viewed items, which is huge. I can look at that, and kids love it. When I project it up there in class, when I show you these examples, it's like, my mom saw it, my mom's on there. And they'll see it in real time, and that's motivating to students. And to me, right? As teachers, it's like, oh, the parent liked that activity, right? Like, ta-da, I did something good. Also, Seesaw is great, great, great. I haven't even really dove into this, but they have PD in your PJs. You can go with it at your own level, your own time, go in. But this is a big one, especially if you are an AIW or schools where they always talk about beyond walls, and I think that is big. That's where the relevance is, but it extends it beyond the gym walls, and it changes the way our community views physical education or views insert whatever your program is, right? So that's the tool. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this one because I feel like it's a one-stop shop. When I go to different tech conferences, we use Flipgrid, we use this, we use that, we use this. this is one place for me to do all these things to parents. It's photos, it's videos, it's drawings. Kids can draw on it. I can draw on it. You can take a upload from a camera roll. You can write notes. You can put links. You can add a file. Basically, it's all in one spot for me, and that's great. It's efficient. I can't say enough about how I like it. So here is it in action. That's kind of how the format will go. I'll show you the tool. I'll show you how I use it, and then hopefully give you a couple ideas. So this is one of our big ones in second grade. You can see this is a non-technology self-assessment of kids. It's magnets on a board. This documents it. This is the technology piece, how it takes it to the next level. They all move their magnet on. It says skips using a mature pattern. This is what happens to be our 3-2-1 grading scale that we use at Gilbert. And I just share and document the standards. I just circled it, and I put skip at the top and send it out to parents, right? Pretty simple. Went out, I can share it with everyone in my class. So that's one example of a quick way. It's already doing it, already using this. On your presentation, don't click on the play button because it'll start going for all of us. You can reference that play later. This is another example of, in PE, the cognitive things that we assess, or the affective domain, those types of things. This is a perfect example of during spike ball. These were the strategies that I wanted them to be thinking about. In 25 minutes with 25 kids, I can't have a 30-second conversation. So what we did was, as much as I would like to, I'll preface with that. What I did is while they were playing, I have 12 iPads on a cart. They'd walk over, they would do this, they have a recording zone, they recorded their 30 seconds, put it down, and then they switched groups, which was also nice. So it switches up the groups, it documents their learning, and then their parents can see it. I can go back on my own time and think, oh, what strategies they have. We can share these with different classes. I do have, I should have said this earlier, and we're at the traveling at one of my gyms, I have an Apple TV that I can project this up right away, and we can all do it if a student wants to share. Or at the other building, I don't have an Apple TV, but I have a projector on a cart, and I've had it that way for 11 years, and it's just the way it is. But I'll play this for you, and you can see, those of you who are PE content specific, what they did, they circled. When the other team is serving to me, our team's plan is to, and then this is what the student's answer was. Hopefully this will.
When the other team is serving to me, our team plan is to hit it low, so it's harder for them to hit it, and also to get and try not to land between a pocket shot and the net, middle of the net.
Right? So when I listen to that, he's using verbiage. He's using pocket shot. He's saying, when they do this, then I'm going to do this. And this was a student, in all honesty, that doesn't raise her hand to talk in class. This is a great way, and to link it out like this, I can share a link that went home to parents. It can go in there. This one is only in that student's portfolio. So that was specific to their portfolio. They didn't add it to a class one. And there's a really simple way that you can just push that out to students, and I can help you with that if you're interested. This is another thing that you probably have conversations in your class. One of the things I love to do is at the end of class to make that connection of, okay, what is something you liked, your favorite part of PE today, right? Because our standard says, I can find enjoyment in physical activities. How do I document that, right? Really easy. What I've done is I just type it up there. The kids can see it as they raise their hands, not getting tagged, and I write their name behind it, you know? They look at that and they see it, and then afterwards what I do is I record, I say on the count of 3, whisper your favorite part, 1, 2, 3, and I'll record their voices in the audio. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and I'll record the other half. That way they're all feeling like they get to be a part of the posts for the day. And parents can comment, you know, who doesn't like to hear their kids what they like, right? This is just awesome. Those of you who are in PE and elementary PE, or maybe your best PE memory is parachute. If you ask adults what they liked about PE, parachute and scooters are 2 of the things that come up. At Gilbert, it is sharks and killer frogs, right? So this is one thing that every year I do, and I loved it. And last year I committed to Seesaw, 100% I committed. And the feedback that I got from parents, so Seesaw, if anybody wants to talk more about Seesaw, I'd love to. If you want more on Seesaw, the link's on here. I did a tech cafe, as my role as a tech innovator at the elementary. I did a Seesaw basic introduction, so that link is there. If you're a PE person, Justin, he is one of the top people I follow on Twitter. He is a great resource. This is a link to him talking about how Seesaw has been a game changer for him. In all honesty, a lot of these ideas I've gotten off Twitter from other PE people that are using them, and I just try. And then the PD in your PJs, this is a link, whatever content area you are, sometimes related arts gets left out. They have those. They're very aware of that, and they have those on there. And you can see my nice little gift there that I'm working on. So, ta-da, Seesaw rocks. All right, so in any classroom, here's just a couple ideas that I have from what I've used. Document your standards for each student. Standards-based grading. Leave positive class notes. I'll put a note on there just as I'm walking down the hall. I can take my iPad with me. Mrs. B's class did an awesome job in PE today. They rocked level 0 in the hall. And then Mrs. B sees that, parents see that. Takes me 30 seconds as I'm walking down the hall, and it's all in their folder. Ask parents a question. If I want feedback on something, I get that. Easily tell a senior post and wow work. I know you were talking about wow work. Like, I really want to show my parents this. Beyond class walls, it's a great way to add that in. And so we're back to the Pear Deck. Any, draw or type in the box any questions you may have. 2 questions. Think about 2 after briefly. I'll challenge your brain a little bit. Draw or type in there. And obviously, if you have questions or want to have conversations at your table, this is a good time to kind of, that was a lot of information. Okay, so here's how I fixed it, right? I just went back, and now you can see on here, I just hit and did the responses, waiting for responses, and I have 15 students logged in, all right? So there, that's an easy way. You don't have to go back and have students, but I can see, oh, how do I share this with parents? That's a good one. I send out an email. All of my students don't bring devices to PE. We share devices, and that's how I have it set up. Even though some of our 5th graders do have Chromebooks right now, it's more efficient for me to do everything the same K-5. I share out with parents, and then they click on a link. Seesaw even provides an email for you, or if you want it, I can send you what I send out to parents. And then they click on their student, and then they're automatically joined, and they're joined on there. It's really.
How do you share it with the parents, though? Like, how they have like this? Is it an app or an account or?
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. It is an account. It is an app. If your school is a Seesaw, it all seamlessly flows together. That's what's really nice. So the feedback that I've gotten from parents at our district is we have so many apps, Class Dojo, Twitter, Facebook, all these different ways to be connected. Seesaw is something that in my opinion, from what I've seen at different conferences, it's a way to easily share that. So it is an app. It's also online, to answer your question specifically. And then if another teacher uses it, it flows. It has a very similar format to Facebook. I guess if anybody else wants to speak on the terms of that. Students would have their own portfolio. It's a digital portfolio. And so that answer, the question was, does each student have their own account that you already have sent in order to put info in themselves? They can put it in themselves. So with the 5th graders, I have a QR code for each class, and they'll walk up with the iPad, they'll scan it, and then they'll find their name from a list. It'll toggle down, they click on their name, and then they add it. With the kindergartners, what I've done is I call them over to me. Like if we're doing a circle thing or something that is a larger piece that I want to assess, I'll do that piece for them, call them over, I'll help them record because they're doing something like stations on the other one. I have my own PE Seesaw account. Somebody asked are you posting on general ed classroom accounts? I'm kind of a control freak. I like my own account. You can merge them. I've thought about doing it with our music teacher, but I don't want somebody to accidentally mess up my stuff. Not that they would on purpose, but I have my own account. And like I said, at my school, I'm one of maybe 3 that use it. So I really have my own account.
So the account's linked And so like if Joey's in music and Joey's in PE and then Joey's in second grade, do all of Joey's stuff, can Joey see?
Joey's parents. I've seen this from a parent view with my daughters, who is as a parent on the parent view, I see all of Piper's things pop up on a feed that is different than like my PE. On my PE account, I don't have access to all of Mrs. Brown's PE items. And because I'm not collaborating directly with somebody at my school, those are great questions that I have a base knowledge of, specifically like, and there's PD in your PJs on that too, if that makes sense.
Actually, parents have to be added to each one of those. So no, they're not. They're connected because they still have this, if you have a Seesaw for school, it's connected to a student ID number. But for parents to be able to see it for different classes, then they have to either do the QR code or do the email to get connected to that student. So even though you're connected to Johnny's in general ed class, the PE teacher would still have to give you her code. So some of our schools who have Seesaw for schools, they just created, like the PE teacher, the art teacher, and the music teacher just were added to the gen ed classroom, and they have folders for them.
And I don't, if there's somebody, I mean, we can look for a resource if you're interested in Seesaw on how people use it with folders. I honestly like just having my own, but I'm not opposed to collaboration. I guess I mean, you use them on your school?
Classroom, and it works fine. So you just put what folder you want it to go in.
Yeah.
So is it more management that way? For like,
You just, I just share I set up my classroom and I share it with our technology teacher, and she's the collaborating one that sets up the related arts folder. And then any related arts teacher or student, they can use the QR code to dump it in that folder. So the parents get one that has the classroom and the related arts stuff in it. So that's a way to link it together.
The only downside I could potentially see with that is when I post an assignment, and if somebody else posts multiple assignments, that like it pops up in an order, and then for them to drag it and find it, I don't know that aspect.
Mm-hmm. Related arts had its own folder. It's just another way to do it.
And I would say the last thing about Seesaw before we move on to the next tech tool is it really is worth looking into. I committed for a year because somebody asked how often do I post. Beginning of the year, I only posted things I was already doing. It was short videos, it was like pictures, it was a meet Mrs. Kloffke type thing. I committed to it for a year, and as the year went on, I found myself just, snapping a snapshot here and taking a picture here, and when conferences came, I could pull up a folder if a parent walked in and have all these things, but they'd already seen it. They had a really good idea of where our PE class was. And the last question I'll answer, does anybody have, have and have not students? If your students don't have technology at home, that's a really good question. Where it is available on a computer, most people have some sort of a phone that can look up a smartphone, the app on it. At school, I don't necessarily have them do assignments at home. All of our stuff is done in class. It's more viewing it at home. It really hasn't been an issue with the way I've used it. If you're assigning assignments, then that is definitely something you'd want to consider if they're doing it outside of PE class. Great questions, and I'll go back through those, and if there's anything you want to ask me later on too. So this is a tech tool. It's called Seconds Pro. It is an interval timer. It is meant to be an adult high-intensity training timer for workout purposes for adults. This is great. I love it because this is where I can promote literacy right here. Our kindergartners, they come in and they read, and there's no pictures, there's no gifts. They are reading the locomotors that I want them to have. So when I project this is what it says, and they all read Gallop, and then we gallop, and there's music attached to it, which makes it really awesome. I'm gonna flip to the next one because it is very individual. You can name your timer there, you see that. Intervals, you can drag or rearrange, and at the bottom you can copy and paste. I can quickly make different ones and rearrange them, just really simple to do. The next one within that, so if I click on where you see it says Gallop up there, and here at the top it says skip. So if I click on skip on that first one, I set the duration, I can set the color. I don't usually mess with the color, I just leave it as it is for time's sake. And then the audio, you can assign songs directly into that, you can assign a playlist and make it shuffle, because those of us who have 12 classes a day, I don't want to listen to the same song when we skip every time. But sometimes when we're jumping, I want it to be a jump song, and I keep that one the same. I do this different for holidays. It's very, very simple. I love it because I can customize music, the number of rotations, it adds literacy. I utilize it in locomotor stations. I don't project it up there, but for me, I start the Seconds Pro and I walk away, and I'm free to not have to worry about the timing of my stations. They're all evenly timed. It beeps, beep, 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 teaches the students self-pacing. They put their equipment away, they move to the next station. Really frees me up to do my job and give feedback, in my opinion. Instant activity, when they walk in, it can be up there. Cool down, hit the beach, and I'll talk more about that later. This is an example of our second graders using Seconds Pro. Ooh, where'd it go? That's not going. Raise your hand if you would like to see that. I can pull it up on Seesaw. Okay. Well, I'll just pull it up here. You'll see my Seesaw here too. And you can see, this is where I ran into, I have 30 sections, so not all of my, there's our, let's see, let's go to, I have some messages there. Oh, there's our glow-in-the-dark bowling. We do glow-in-the-dark bowling, so parents got to see that. Here's our Hit the Beach. Here is Locomotor Movements. We hadn't done locomotors for a while. You can see those of you who are repeat people, they're a little bit rusty. Usually, instead of recording this, what I'll do is I'll walk around and actually give the feedback on, hey, remember a gallop, this works, and they're motivated by it. It's playing when they come in the gym as a warm-up. Here's my student teacher. This is also what my gym looks like.
And I see Sam going one way and then changing directions. Nice job.
And I won't play the whole thing, but then when parents see it, they hear me, oh, nice. I mean, they get to hear your interaction with the kids, and as a parent, that means a lot to me. I mean, not even just as a teacher, but as the parent. So that's a way to see, and I do that. I mean, you're doing something that you look at it like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. That is our routine, and parents don't know it. So here's another example of Seconds Pro in any classroom, time rotations. I was working with a second grade teacher on, they do math rotations, and she was trying to add in transition music onto her Google Slides. And I was like, use Seconds Pro. You can use it for so many things. And I helped her put it on the Google Slide, but then I also showed her what Seconds Pro was. Activities that have a set time. I want 10 minutes for this activity. You can play calming music, whatever in the back. Tasks that switch partners or groups. Okay, I want you 30 seconds with this partner, 30 seconds with this partner. It'll just boom, 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 and you don't even have to play music. It can just be a timer as well. Keeping yourself on schedule with multiple activities, it's at 25 minutes, that totally helps me. Brain energizers, some schools call them brain breaks, but if you do any brain energizers, and then you can easily add music to any lesson using this if you're using it for other things as well. I've had this one for so long. If it is, it's minimal. Like it's under $5. Is it free on iTunes? Okay, thank you. Yeah, and my thought is if it's $5 and I use it all year, I mean, to me, sometimes that's worth it. But this is definitely one that I would say it's worth it but if it's free, it's even better. Love free apps. All right, so understand and ready to move on to the next topic. This is more to just kind of show you what a Pear Deck example what you could use. And then on mine, I'll show you what this looks like. I see a little bar here, and it updates in real time, which if you're doing a Google Slides presentation in whatever capacity, you get that true false there. Most of us look like we're ready to move on, so I'm just going to do that. This is another one. I'm going to go through this one fairly quickly, even though I love it as well. Calm or Breathe Plus. Those of you who have an Apple Watch, I love when it reminds me breathe, because usually during the day I'm like this, and it just take a break. Breathe Plus is the app that is similar to that Expand and Contract, and I'll show you a version of that. Calm is a resource that our guidance counselor presented to me, and I had seen it on Twitter, but we're kind of working together. It is a free app for educators. It has meditation. It has like focus on time management. There's courses you can go through for yourself just to be, you know, de-stress. And it's free for educators whether you use it in your classroom or not. If you have a K-12 or a school ID, you get it for free, and you can use it for personal use, or you can choose to use it in your classroom. But it's a great way to just take a second and look at and de-stress, just like our kids need. I found in the afternoon with my, when I travel to elementary and I have a 25-minute PE class, we come in and we're upbeat and we move, and then we have to transition to music, and these kids are like excited. And I'm rotating door. This is where we call this Hit the Beach. Actually, from Grundy Center, Rick Schubach, when I went to observe him, he did something called Hit the Beach, and it was just something that I've taken and used at Gilbert, and this is one of the apps that I use to do that. And when I click on this, you'll kind of see what it is. You'll see the Breathe app. It goes up and then it goes down. But this is how I use it at the end of my class. Just still calm. Breathe in. That's not so well. And then I walk around with a spray bottle, and this is my student teacher, and the kids love it. And actually my 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, they want it. They're like, can we have a spray bottle? In my head, I'm thinking, I really want to do that, but I have some questions we need to talk about, so we get to other things too. But that's called Hit the Beach, and I will play that as students come in. Yeah, it is kind of funny, but they love it. They love it, love it, love it. And so I use that Breathe app, or this Breathe Plus right here. And I'll put that on when they come in. If I know I'm going to give directions right away, I'll have that playing, and they sit down and we just talk about breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And it's nothing major, but it's just an app that helps me teach that calming. So you could play a student center class. I know our guidance counselor does that. Calming or focusing during work time. If you want them focused, just that background is great. Play as students rotate to different stations. That was an idea I got from my 2nd grade teacher. She wanted some calming music. We did a piano on her presentation, but I also put this. A brain energizer. You've been working really hard in your class and you're starting to feel this, and okay, let's just take a break. Or as students exit the class, sometimes I'll just play it up on the up there as we're online. We won't hit the beach, but I'll just have it playing that way. It's just if they need it, they find it, or as a break spot. This is a use of technology that can help kids focus and regulate, and it's a free app that they can download at home, and if they're feeling, it teaches them to use technology in a way that can benefit their health. I don't want to just skip over that break spot one. Next tech tool, Sworkit Kids. This is one that probably is a little bit more PE specific, unless you do brain energizers or brain breaks, or you want to do some sort of movement if in your classroom. This is what it looks like. I honestly think this is a free app, and I like the accent, you know. But it's school appropriate. It's kids. So this is probably more of the elementary version, K-5. The kids vary in age as they go through. And they can, as they go through, but there is an adult version that now is paid. You have to pay for the adult version. I don't appreciate that, but at least the kids version is still free. That's what that looks like. I use it for voice and choice. That's a big thing in project-based learning, voice and choice. I'll show you an example next of how I use it at stations. There's 3 different phases kids can choose from that I'll use for instant activities, but flexibility, agility, strength. Actually, honestly, personally, you just want to work on your flexibility, you can follow along with this too. It's free and it's great. It's school appropriate video. When I'm looking for gifts, or these are kids that they're dressed inappropriate, and it is a kid showing kids exercise. Like I said, there's an adult version. Hit the beach, and I use this as an alternative to Seconds Pro. I kind of vary and rotate. I am not a technology 100% in my PE class type of person. I vary it up. I just kind of flip through these. And this is, I'll click on this and show you, this is what it looks like on the right. This is the choice menu. And then this is another one of the stations you'll see. It's called Jitterbug. It's actually an app for cats, believe it or not. And the bugs go up on the screen and cats can pop it. Kids love to throw at these targets. They love, love, love to throw at them. And actually, I did some different throwing targets for them and asked them, do you want to use these other awesome throwing targets that we created or I found, or do you want to use the Jitterbug app? And every single class said, we want to use the Jitterbug app. Okay. But this is a combination of Sworkit and Jitterbug, and I'll play our, again, this is another use of Seesaw to document this. This is documented to parents and shown, and I'm just showing you how now you can kind of see a glimpse into our gym. But this is voice and choice stations. See real life right there, right?
Okay, Taylor?
Kids fall down. And then you hear me say, are you okay? This is our skyscrapers. Love this kicking activity. They kick at the cones and try to knock down the top one. And our 5th grade kicker is like, that's a challenge for them in a small space. This right now is 4th graders. They have a color-coded ball and they have to hit their own skyscraper. So as a teacher, I can walk away and see which one they're trying to hit. And then that's for motivation. There was a scoreboard. If they hit it, our class goal was 15. If they hit one, they flip it, so it's a class goal as well. This is voice and choice with the Sworkit. And they're experimenting. Are they doing it perfectly? No. But this is where that application of, can I go home and use the app? And you'll hear me if I stop talking to you.
Wyatt, do you see how he's got his toes down? There you go. Nice.
Okay. I'll pause that there. They go to each station, but at this station with the Sworkit, they get to choose flexibility, agility, or strength. During my 3.5 minutes there, what do I want to choose? And then you can actually, that's a great question, thank you for asking that. You can actually flip through the exercises we talk about. One of them on there is it's a mule kick, for those of you who know mule kicks. If I don't want to do a mule kick today, I'm gonna just go the other one, because if I'm an adult and I'm working out and I don't want to do the exercise, I'm going to go to the next one, right? That's where the voice and choice comes from. Very simple voice and choice. If you're a project-based learning and they want you to include some of these things in your classroom, we're doing it already. This is a way you can say, hey, this is my voice and choice. You label it voice and choice. They can also choose a mat. They can work with many different people. They can work by themselves, but they're using the app for that personal health, what they want to work on in that day.
Or just like a unit station?
This is a station in between our units. We just got done with a large group activity and we're transitioning into another activity. So with the way classes work, I have 2 days of voice and choice stations. Things I want to hit. This year, my big ones I'm hitting, I have them marked out: throwing, kicking. The jump rope was one, just a teamwork. We haven't jumped rope for a while. And then really working on giving them some choices in their fitness level. So that's where these stations, they kind of will do them. They've had them in elementary. I project the Sworkit up, and we go through some of those exercises at K-2 level. This is more of that next step. I have the freedom to kind of follow along. Great question. And then over here, you'll see.
And do you see how she's going up and down?
I'll show you the. So here's the throwing station right here. They throw at the bugs, and down here is they're trying to get to 80. As a class, hitting the bug 80 times. I originally set it at 50, and I had classes like 120. I'm like, we need to work on better. I need to get some more challenging, which is a great assessment for my program. I need more challenging things for our throwers. But that's another use of Seesaw to document that for myself, whether I share that out to parents or not. All right, any other questions about, before I go on to Google Keep here, I don't want to run out of time. Sworkit? Perfect, awesome, thank you. Oh, you don't know how many slides I have left, though. Oh, there you go. All right. Hey, I like it. I wasn't trying to keep it secret. Google Keep, anybody? Maybe-ish. Okay. Don't feel bad. I hate to ask that question, because when I was at the tech conference and people were like, do you use this? And I'm like, no. Honestly, no. If you don't, it's fine. Google Keep is something that I use for my own personal organizational tool. I think as teachers, we have to also think about, how do we stay organized? Where do we put our idea boards? Like, how do I stay energized and organized? And Google Keep, down here, this is how I put it on my to-do list of Kevin Tiller. it's a PE person. And here's a video on if you want to use Google Keep, how to save all your Twitter finds, if you want to go back and actually step-by-step join Google Keep. But what happens to me is, as a creative person, I see something, I think, that's a great idea, I don't really think this, but my first thought, we should do that next week, right? But that's not, then the teacher in me says, no, you gotta follow your curriculum map, and if it comes later on. This is how I kind of organize into Google Keep, and I'll share with you my Google Keep. It's not, some of you probably have way more organized Google Keeps than me if you're used to using it. I'm just starting. What I do is just kind of if I see anything on, let's say I'm on Twitter, if it'll log me back in. Okay, so here's a dive roll. Those of you who know follow Bart Jones, so with this, say I want to, oh, that's a really cool GIF. I want to use that later on. I go up to my Google it's a Chrome extension, and it's this right here. I click on this, and it lets me take a note. And when I click on that, I would label it tumbling GIF, and I might put use for dive roll. Then I go to label and go to, I would probably put this in just looking at it right off the bat. I probably put it in curriculum ideas and tech innovator. That tech innovator is one I want to go back and see, can I create something like that for myself? Then I just click on this and it's there for when I want it. We'll see if it's right there. Perfect. So then what I can do is click on this and later on go back to that link when I have time, when I get to my tumbling unit, when I'm thinking about those things, it's all right there. What I used to do is I would email the link, I would share it via Gmail, then I'd add it to my drive, and there was all these steps in between. This is just a really seamless way to save it all in one spot, personal organization tool. And you just got to give a celebration dance for Google Keep. I love it. It's just a very simple way. If you want to share 2 ways you utilize Google Keep or 2 questions you have, we'll just make that piece of it a little bit interactive. Somebody asked, does Google Keep have a way to schedule reminders? It does, correct? Okay. I've seen that. You can also do little task bars, checklist things. Google Docs and Google Slides, my understanding is it will go directly to you can link directly. Basically, anything you have up on your computer, that extension allows it to save into that note, into that area. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not an expert. You just drag it in and it works. Good. These are great questions. What I also like about Pear Deck is these are not attached to names. There's no like projecting of responses. It gives me that feedback without somebody raising their hand. Any type of presenting, checklist, yep. And so somebody asked, can checklists and collaboration or sharing notes? Yes to both. You can make it checkboxes, and you can add a collaborator to a note. If Mrs. Brown and I, when we do our PBL, if we want to do a checklist of the things we need to do, I can share with her as a collaborator, and I'm guessing I can remind us to do it if there's a reminder, like if it sets up as a reminder too. Good questions. If I have any on there that you want answered, we can come back to those. But we're going to move on to a tech tool, Team Shake. This one is I've used it for a long time, but it is just a way to work smarter and not harder. And my husband says that all the time, Stephanie, what can you do to work smarter, not harder? And this is one way that I found. This is generally something people think of as a PE app. It is not just like team and team, like we're going to play each other and that's a team. It can be used, in my opinion, so many different ways. In fact, I was giving this presentation before I came to our overall TLS coordinator, our curriculum director, and she thought, oh, I could use that. If I put everyone in for technology days, we could randomly shake it up. And then she's not assigning people to groups because of the randomness of it. How it works is you import all of your students in, and that sounds like a lot of work, but I did all 700 of my students in under 20 minutes. It really is a copy and paste from a format. You just, whatever, Infinite Campus, Power School, whatever it is, I could just copy that and just put it in. Or you can type in off a class roster. If you feel like you're faster at typing, you type in the name, you hit enter, you type in the name, hit enter. But I did all of my classes in 20 minutes. Granted, I maybe have a learning curve on that. There may be a learning curve the first time you do it. But you enter your students in, and it goes into an Excel, and you put them in, you do not have to, I'll preface that. Boys and girls. You can also do sub-teams. This is something that what the app does is it shakes up the kids and creates a group. So when they walk into the gym, if I need 4 teams for activity, I put them up, I say, oh, is anybody gone? And if Cindy's gone, then I hit this, and she will not be added to a team. If Jake is gone, I hit that, and they are no longer in the mix. I hit shake, and then it pops out 4 teams. And they can be color-coded. You can organize that. I don't take the time to do that unless I have a sub. And then, so that's how it kind of works. And you can do teams, or you can hit this button right here, and it'll say, I want 3 people in my groups. I only want 3. And then it'll do 3 people, and it'll put them in groups of 3. Where the sub-teams, this is what's nice. I don't use this feature, but it is there. If I have 2 students that I know are not allowed to be together, or in this activity, I don't want Mrs. Kloffke with Ms. Kableska, you can control that and make it that when you hit the shake button, they will not show up together. Please don't tell your students that, because my students do not know that is a feature. All right? I don't use a lot, but I also don't tell kids that that is a feature. You can also do the flip side of that and say, I work really well with Joanna, and we need to be together. Like, we function better together for whatever reason. You can put those 2 kids almost always on the same, or you can make it always on the same team. Depending on the age, they may start to pick up on that. The nice thing about this is the random player. If you do Tiger tickets for PBIS, or you do a star student, or you want, who's the line leader this week, or I want somebody to come up and help me with this demonstration, this randomizes it where it's not always Mrs. Kloffke picking a student. Even though I don't pick favorites, I don't know what the kids' view on that is. And this is a way to just shake it up and use technology. Do I use this all the time? No, but sometimes. The nice thing on here, and for any classrooms, is the substitute. You can print these off and share them. So when I am gone and we're playing a large group game, and I know that sometimes they don't act the way they do for me, for other people, I will divide up teams, and that takes away the, what if the teams aren't fair? They know they're not supposed to say that in PE, but if I print out those lists, it just is efficient that way. You can make new seating charts fast. That's a good way of, like, I have 6 tables and I want a new seating chart, but I've got 30 classes. It takes forever if you do it. You can do it that way, and it's random. Random student picker, there's other ones on there that you can kind of see. So that's Team Shake in any classroom. If you want more information on that, I'd be more than happy to share. This is where sometimes my life just like, you feel like it's chaos. This is a Tech Cafe presentation that I did for our staff on better utilizing tools we already have. We all use Gmail. We all have access to Drive. How do you use what you're already using and make it more efficient for you? This is a full presentation on how to do some of these things. This is not an all-inclusive list of what's in that presentation, but this makes me feel like ta-da. When I open my Google Drive folder and it's color-coded, it makes me feel organized even when I'm not, right? So you can label, it shows you on here how to label in Drive, how to add folders, and how to do colors. If you are somebody who that shared folder, you're still trying to organize your shared folder, secret, you can't, right? Or not shared folder, but the shared with me, you can't organize that. That's not something you can do. That's in there, but it does show you how to add it to your Drive and then organize what you want so it's easy to find. On Gmail, you can add to a task, which creates this. That keeps my inbox free. I can add it to a task list. That's in there. How to archive and search, how to label your Gmails and color. Snooze feature, I don't need that today. I can't think about it today. I'm going to snooze it till tomorrow. Adding emojis onto your folders if you want to, and this is a big one, expiration date for Drive. When I have subs, I share with them the daily plan, and I set it to expire 3 days after, and they no longer have access. I don't have to think about it, I just set it to expire. So that is all in that presentation you see up there. Makes me feel a little bit more organized. I'm gonna go through some of these fast because they're just more, if it's relevant to you, you can click on the links, or I can help you later on. This is a work in progress. This is real life. This is my curriculum map that I'm working on transferring from part of my Google Drive onto something like this. It is not pretty. I have come to realize that, you know what, this part of it doesn't have to be. It's functional. This is the dates every year. And then what I love about Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Slides, I have my curriculum map in sheets. These linked ones go directly to a Google Doc, and within that Google Doc, I have links to any other links or slide presentations that I project up. I can link it right there. So next year when I say, oh, what was it that I used there? I click on that link and it's all right there. I don't have to find it in my Google Drive, and in my life, that is really important to me. Just thought I'd share that. If you have any sort of organizational system that you'd be willing to share, I'd love it, because I'm always looking for better ways to be organized. This is an example of what I would link into, a way that I've started using Google Slides. This was from our glow-in-the-dark bowling for our K-2. And when I went to iTech, I went to a Ninjify Google Slides, and the Bitmojis that you see on here, the backgrounds, this slide literally took me about 2 minutes to make, right? I use Slides Carnival. I have Bitmojis. When I put them on, the Bitmoji, I actually crunched it down using cropping and then put up on here. So our students, it's a visual. They think it's fun. It's meeting them. It's a Bitmoji of me. This is, I'm confident in these 3 things. I know them and I can do them. This is, I know them, but I need more practice. That's a really important thing for kids to hear. I know how to do it. I just need more practice. And this is a question mark, like, I need help. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just not quite sure how to do it. And that's one example. On that link, it'll take you to my Google Slides on there. But I will either project this, or you can print it out for students and they can circle them, or I can use my magnets. I don't commit to one way. I use it lots of different ways, but it's just a way, and then I have that for next year. This is a compilation of slides for throwing targets. I'm not going to go, well, I guess I could probably click on this and I'll just play. But this is what I was talking about, are the ones that, this is a reference from Twitter. Somebody had taken, a bunch of people had created these, and they're all cited in there for those of you who are, for that. You can go back and find the originals, but she had put them in there. The kids actually like that jitterbug game better than some of these ones, and which is great. That's voice and choice. It's not what I would have chose, but that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. But if you're a PE person, that's on there. Here's a way for just to make Google Slides interactive, displaying learning targets, exit tickets, formative assessments, direct instruction, Pear Deck, like that back and forth. This is so much information coming at you that it's nice for me to at least answer some of your questions using that Pear Deck. If you want more on slides, this is the presentation I was talking about. If you're like, oh, I want to do a Bitmoji, what I did is literally I went to Bitmoji, put the camera on my face, it did a selfie of me, and it came out with this Bitmoji. It was super simple. You don't have to pick and choose. I abandoned Bitmoji a while ago. I'm like, I can't choose all my ears and my eyes, and I don't know. It'll do it really fast. And then you can, so all of this here, credit to him, shadows on your pictures, clip art, making your Google Slides. Just, it's a great presentation. Take the time to check it out if you're interested. And then this is how I kind of brought it to our elementary. That's a presentation that I did on Google Slides. I took his and then put it into Google Slides for ours. There's 2 more on Google Slides there. YouTube, I know I'm kind of running towards the end of my session here, but YouTube for PBL. YouTube is a tool that I think is awesome. I haven't honestly explored it. I was excited to see that. I think the next session is using, I'm getting some ideas from that. This is our PBL, Mrs. Brown and I. We do Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree for kids. We project this up there, so we recorded it. It's aerobic drumming. It's a collaboration with music. We tape this, but we can show it to all the kids up on our projector. We can walk around and get feedback then. We don't have to be the ones up there, Mrs. Kloffke's show, right? Like, I don't need to do it 30 times. If I can walk around and help kids, it makes it better. You can click on that link if you want to see it. It's really awesome. You can share it with your teachers. They can watch it. You can do it. Here is YouTube versus Seesaw. First year we did it, we put it on YouTube and we sent the links to parents because part of it was beyond gym walls. Sent it to parents on YouTube. I couldn't tell which parents viewed. I mean, maybe there was a way, but it wasn't as easy. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I couldn't tell, but we sent it out. We sent home a paper copy of it, and it was great. We got really, I mean, it was good. The second year, last year, I was already using Seesaw, and I had parents watching that and looking at it. And you could see when they watch it, this goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, like who had viewed it. And it was fast. Like they had seen it way faster than when it was on YouTube. And you can see they liked it. And down here, there's a whole bunch of comments of like, oh my gosh, that was so great. And you're getting that feedback like, ta-da, I did something good, that you usually don't get, right? We also could take a screenshot and put it in their portfolio of the individual students' rhythms, and we had it. If they took that card home and they lost it, we can't make copies of all 125 of them. It's not efficient. But this was a way we screenshotted it and put it on there, and then the parents could have it. So it was just a great way of seeing the transformation from just a YouTube to the Seesaw on those. I've also made YouTube jump ropes. This is a Super 8. This is something that I'm kind of working on. Is Kevin Tiller, he'll be on the next slide. He has a ton of like Super 7 resources for PE classes that you can do, and it's just a exploratory of different things. I made my own jump rope one and put that up there, and then I brought it down to the kindergarten level. This is our Fantastic 5 balloons. But that's just a way that I use YouTube to project it up and feel like I'm creating, not just consuming what somebody else has made. The benefit, I think, of those videos as well of this is, at first I thought, if I show another PE teacher and I'm not the one who's doing it, does that mean I'm not teaching the kids? I kind of went through that struggle. But then after listening to various topics and various conversations, I don't look like every single one of my students in my classroom. And it is okay for them to see Kevin Tiller. They're like, oh, that's the guy from wherever. They recognize him. He's a PE teacher, clear out. Or, you know, like you use a GIF or you use an animation. And it's just a way to make it, to utilize your resources to make it relevant to students. So that's kind of my journey on, I'm working on creating some of my own, but I'm also giving myself the like, it's okay, Stephanie, right? Like if they're up there showing them what to do, you can be walking around and providing that feedback to your students. And that's really what they need from me, is they need that feedback on what they're doing. So if you're teaching something that over and over and over again to multiple sections, and you make a video, I'm sure you found that yourself, like with your videos, it opens up that teaching capability to make it very hands-on with your students. So you can also check out, I put on there, Ben Perillo is great for PE, and Kevin Tiller. Those are the ones that I generally kind of flip back and forth with me, just because as a female PE teacher, these are two male PE teachers, that it just hits another avenue. And then obviously just working smarter, not harder. YouTube in action, I'm gonna skip this one. If you have any questions about YouTube, you can let me know. Here is our last 2 slides, circling any that you feel like you could use. This is kind of a commitment to myself, to you, I should say, commitment to yourself that I'm gonna check into this one, or I'm gonna look at these 2. If you circle them, what you feel like you could maybe use. Okay, and then this last one I will leave you with. I realized that was a whole bunch of information. Hopefully you got something. I also would love ideas as well if you're like, I just need somebody to collaborate with. I'm alone in K-5 world. No, I'm not alone, but in the PE. If you just type on there 2 takeaways, 1 I wonder, and anything else, that will just help me know where I helped you. If there's anything I can follow up with you on, I'd love to do that. Or anything else, any other feedback, like you talk too fast or it was great. Anyway, thank you.